I mean, did he win the Defensive Player of the Year award tonight?
I think he's the leader of the clubhouse. I mean, I know Mike is going to play. Look, the season's not done. The Cowboys are going to play some huge games on big time stage. Micah Parsons got a shot, but I think the thing that you see with Nick, and I think you probably see this with Micah Parsons too. For every one sack he gets 6 almost sacks. You know, he just affects the game on every single snap. Every single snap. I don't know if there's been I mean, he's on the short list of defensive players that you could just lock in on him, watch, and you would really enjoy just watching the game. Just lock in on Nick and just watch. Because he is around the ball a lot on a pass play and on a run play. So you don't really miss anything if you just watch Nick, because he's going to get to the quarterback right before the quarterback throws the football, probably.
Well, doesn't he feel like, you know, the old coaches, like Bill Parcells sitting in his house, or Parcells feels way older than Jimmy Johnson, even though they're both probably like in their 70s, or, you know, Bill's probably 80 now. Like that generation that are still kind of alive, when they're talking to their friends or whatever, like that's the guy. They're like, this guy could have fucking played in our day in '83. Chris Long, I just typed in Bosa to Twitter. He's like, you don't need to overthink the Defensive Player of the Year. It's Nick Bosa. Best player on the best defense at a premium position. Just plain wins his one-on-ones. I love me some Micah Parsons, no matter how much I disagree with his Jalen take. He'll get one. It's just Bosa's year. I think start to finish, I just don't see how he doesn't win it. And if he does, I mean, there were some incredible Willis seasons. This is probably one of the better 49er, you know, defensive seasons post, you know, from their start in their run in like 1981. I bet Ronnie Lott had some years. You know, Charles Haley, Deion Sanders had the 1 year in '94. Willis had some incredible years. I know Alden had the 19 sack year, but it felt like Willis was their best defensive player. I mean, Nick is, I just think like he's a transcendent talent. That's what's crazy. Like his brother was really, you know, drafted 3rd overall and was awesome. And it was worth when healthy, every team in the league would break him off $100 million. Feels like Nick's way better. Feels like Nick is like Vaughn when he was young, just like an unstoppable force. You know, Khalil had the 1 year. The thing with Nick, it feels like it's just, this is going to translate as long as he stays healthy for years, because he's not like predicated off strength. He's strong, but it's all speed and moves. And that's why Herbie was like, oh, he's figured him out. It's like he figured him out. It's like a Taekwondo master, you know, like he knows where he's trying to like put his hands. Nick is not just picking you up and shoving you back. That's actually, I'd say, his last move. You rarely see just the bull rush, which is something I think over time that is diminishes. Why has Von Miller had such a long career? Because he goes around you, you know? And there was a play tonight where even they were like, look how low he is.
I know.
But it's low, but he's not breaking stride. Now, I'm not trying to be a homer or whatever, but
I don't think
that roughing the passer was one of the stupider calls of the year.
It's funny. Bosa said after the game, I saw people were telling us in the chat that, and I saw a few tweets that he thought it was a good call.
Because what's the rule? You just can't fall on him.
Yeah, you can't, like, with the whole force of your body, drive them into the turf.
But it didn't feel very violent, did it to you?
I thought it was violent. I hate the call, though. Fundamentally hate the call. As you said to me in a text, what's he supposed to do? Float?
Skip also. I hate to admit it. That's Skip Bayless. I hate to admit this publicly, but right now the 49ers pass rusher is better than the Cowboys.
You know that
right now Nick Bosa is playing at a much higher level than Micah Parsons.
You know what that tells me?
He's trying to motivate Micah?
No, that one of the producers was like, you know, Skip, talking Niners actually isn't that much worse than talking Cowboys for the rating. So if you want to take any shots that you could go, if you wanted to pivot to Niners, that'd be fine for the ratings. Now, don't pivot to, don't pivot to the Bills. That's not going to work for us. Don't pivot to the Chiefs. I mean, they're great, but that's not going to work for us. But if you want to pivot Niners, we're going to do the same numbers. So do whatever you want. That's what that tells me. All of a sudden, John, just stop playing the game for a second to tweet about Nick Bosa. I don't think so. So I think what you said, Chris Long said, he is on the number one defense. He's the best player on the number one defense. Like, to me, a lot of defensive rankings don't matter. In just like general, you belly up to a bar, order a Tito's and soda, start talking football. The one thing that you just hear people say, the number one defense, that just resonates in a way that, there are a lot of things that are probably better, DVOA and all kinds of other. Did you say number one? Well, probably number one DVOA. I mean, we can check.
Well, before Russell Westbrook
number one defense
won the MVP that one year for the Thunder, and they were like the 6 or 7 seed. I think historically, for like 30 straight years, the MVP in the NBA had come from a 1st or 2nd seed. And I bet if we looked at the MVP in football, I would say for 30 years, the majority of the MVP was on like either the 1st or 2nd seed. Like, you're usually like, the reason would Jalen Hurts be the MVP if they instead of being 12-1, they were,
no
9-3, right? No. It's part of being 12-1, which it's like, and I think most people disagree. Yeah, I got no problem with it, right? If Mahomes right now, if you reverse the records and they were 9-3 or 10-3 and the Chiefs were 12-1, it'd be like, oh, Mahomes is going to win it, no doubt about it. So like that matters with the other awards. This one, I would say the only reason Mike has a chance is on the Cowboys, right? If Micah Parsons, who is an awesome player, we all agree, like no one's disputing that he's not like in that tier. But if Micah Parsons was, let's just pick a fringe play, the football team, it would be like, oh, Bosa's already won it, right? It'd already be over. And in fairness to Micah, like he built up a Bosa-like hype last year as a defensive rookie of the year.
You come into the year with it, that helps.
And remember, because when we talked about Drake Jackson, could he get defensive rookie of the year? I don't think he's going to get it. You're like, well, usually when you're the defensive rookie of the year, it just turns out you're going to be one of the best players in the league for the foreseeable future. And that's what Micah Parsons like. Yeah, the defensive rookie of the year, and I'm going to be a DPOY candidate for the next 5 straight years. And that's the case. You could argue like these two guys might be in the mix if they stay healthy for the next, I don't know, several years.
Sure.
Right? I mean, the only thing
Nick is playing his best football right now. And obviously, Micah, they're both coming in. Nick's coming into his.
He gave up carbs.
Give up carbs. That's dedication. Hold on now. Niners have played in 14 games, right? So Bosa, it's hard, like right after a game ends, to get the stats right. Bosa's got 1, 3, 4, 6, 7,
15.5.
It is 15.5. Is that correct?
Well, Stats and Info tweeted that out tonight.
Okay, so if it's 15.5, then he's matched last year's sack total already.
He did. Yeah.
Okay.